Hello and welcome, I'm Stefan, this is Real Fitness Coaching, and today we are going for a total body mobility workout sequence. Now I'm feeling really tight in my lower body after filming that lower body hip workout just a couple of days ago, and I know it would have been so easy for me just to stay on the couch and it's cold outside and think, I know I'll let that stiffness, that DOMS kind of come and go and make its own way out of my body, but moving is going to be the best thing for me today. Tempting as it might be to do another hip workout, I know myself that mobility is the key for today, so I can work out that much better tomorrow without pushing myself closer towards injury. So it's going to be great for you if, like me, you've experienced some DOMS after a workout, or if you're just feeling jaded at the end of the week and you want to rejuvenate yourself and enhance movement for the next workout to come. We're going to start off hands on hips and go into hip circles. So I don't expect my movement to be very free today with this workout, so bear with me, but I will be doing my best to demonstrate and push and encourage a little bit more movement out of my body. So hip circles, as always, feet a bit wider than the hip width apart. We're rocking those feet from side to side and just taking those hips out as far as is comfortable. Never force the body into a position it's not happy to go. Just feel for what it's got available for you on the day and look to make improvements. Just a little bit better is all you need to be. So big circles, testing the IT band, the glutes, the adductors. We'll go back in the other direction now. And the groin in particular, those hamstrings, not showing up too bad on this movement, but I'm expecting some of those hamstring stretches. We'll get into some dynamic and then some more static stretches after these movements. So these movements initially, as we do, warm the toffee, melt everything, get everything nice and pliable, so we're not going in cold into any hard or lengthy static stretches. So nice big turns, and from here we're going to go into a high to low rotation, not too low. For these first few, we'll deepen that movement after a few repetitions, just getting that turn through the feet, through the hips, so the midsection as well. Nice and high with that reach, bring the arms round, and we'll start to deepen that movement now. A little bit more bend of the knees, hinge at the hips, breathing in, on the way down, out on the way up, just as fast as it's comfortable for you to go. Keeping that balance, looking for dynamic stability. So stable whilst we're moving, shifting the weight from foot to foot. One more, and onto the other side. Again, not too low with these first few. Just moving the arms, maybe knee height, thigh height, up and across to above head height on the other side. Breathing in, and out. Let's deepen that movement a little bit, deepen that stretch, and get those hips working just a little bit to warm them up and get everything moving. Again, gently drawing the core, the navel in, so we've got that pull, that stretch through the midsection. And good, one more. All right, feet square, hands up. We're going to trace a circle down, up and around. Keep that movement going. Eyes looking about a metre or so in front of you to the floor, so you don't feel dizzy by looking all the way around the room, following the hands with the eyes, but rather keeping the head and the eyes fixed at one point. Again, not too much knee bend. These are initial repetitions. Let's go one more. From the top, back in the other direction. Breathing in, and then out as you come back up to start that circle again. Good. We're getting into the back, the midsection again, the shoulders, and the hips and the hamstrings a little bit as we come down and around. One more, and we'll go back the other direction, and this time we'll go down lower, sweeping the floor almost with those fingertips. If you can, again, go as low as is comfortable for you. And I can feel again those adductors, the inner thighs and the hamstrings, backs of the thighs where they've worked, along with those glutes. And one more big circle from the top, change direction again, turn, and again, for balance, if it helps to keep the eyes fixed on a point in front of you, maybe the wall, maybe the floor. If you can turn the head, that's absolutely fine. Go with that movement. Encourage as much rotation, as much turn from left to right as you can. All right, good. Working those hips. And all right, from here we're going to go wide with our stance. Feet turned out, hands on hips, sink the hips to one side, and then up and over, nice and slow. We'll be keeping this constant motion. So again, dynamic stretches, just a little bit at the end range. You can see there's little sort of pulsing or bouncing movements, and then up and over. So still creating warmth, melting that toffee. Imagine toffee, a toffee penny in your hand. As you hold it there, and the warmth melts and becomes much easier to spread it around, to move it around the palm. Same with the muscles here and the connective tissue. The warmer it is, the more pliable it becomes. A little bit deeper now into these stretches. And 2 or 3 bounces now at the end. All right, up into the center, still keeping those feet wide. You know this one from our workouts. I'm going to go slower than with the workout and just reach one hand towards the opposite foot and the other hand behind the body. And I can turn the feet a little bit. So you're going to go over onto the arch of the trailing leg, looking to get that straight leg, to get the inner thigh, the adductor, stretching. Turn the body a little bit extra, looking behind. If you've got the balance for it, just to test that depth, and an extra bit of rotation through the body as well. Good. Again, nice and slow, but feeling that warmth in the body. Okay, bring the feet a little bit closer together. We're going to go into windmills, turning the feet on an angle, 45 degrees or thereabouts. Rear hand is up, lead hand is down, and we're going to reach down towards the floor. And you want to keep the body as sideways on as possible, looking up to the ceiling. Straight legs if we can, reaching back up, and using that hinge, go for 3 of these on each side, nice and slow. Fingertips to the floor, and turning a little bit more if we can, reaching up. On the way down, we're going to get that inner thigh stretch, and the side of the body as well. Just as low as you can into that stretch. Deep breath. Exhale and come up. Turn to the other side. So again, about 45 degrees with the feet, rear hand, lead hand, and down we go. Good. Turning just a little bit, holding that position for a moment or 2, reaching back up. Down for 2, for 3 on this side. Not uncommon to find one side is a little bit freer, a little bit deeper stretching on this one compared to the other side. You're looking to try and even that out as much as possible. And down for our 3rd. Again, fingertips to the floor, arm against the leg for balance, turning the body, pushing against the leg, opening up through the chest and shoulders. Good stretch on that inner thigh. And all right, from here, sideways on, I'm going to keep the movement going now with pendulum swings or ski jumpers. Weight into my heels, and nice and low. Feeling the body's a lot warmer now than a few moments ago when we started. I'm trying to encourage, trying to push just a little bit with more depth. So as I sit my hips down, I'm tilting that tailbone back and up to try and lengthen the hamstrings up near the hips, keeping that chest up and keeping that movement going. Reaching high at the top, stretching the shoulders, decompressing the spine. One more. All right, stepping back. I'm going to go for walkouts, 3 of these. Straight legs, stretching the hamstrings, walking to palms, and then walk it back. So straight legs, really emphasize that stretch. Again, that tilt of the tailbone back and up. Core, working in that high plank position, stretching those hamstrings. Straight legs if you can. Fingertips down to palms, and then back to fingertips. All right, one more time. This time we're going to stay out. We're going to go into a groiner step. So one foot steps forward. My left foot steps forward. And my left hand that reaches up. And I'm going to open up. Really try and bring this arm back, pushing with the hand that's on the floor as well. And feeling that stretch through the hip. Let's go into that needle thread down between the shin and the forearm, keeping everything up off the ground, not dropping that rear knee, and reaching across. Again, emphasizes that stretch on the inner thigh. Try and keep a bit of distance between that elbow, your shoulder and your knee. Back up overhead. So you don't want to have this knee crowd you and come in close. Nice and tall. Open up, push from a straight line from hand to hand. And then under we go. Cutting that arm underneath the body. And bracing your weight on that lead foot, opposite hand and the rear foot as well. Okay, up for our third of three. Again, open up a little bit more, hopefully this time, than the first two. Deep breath, and underneath we go. Good. All right. And hand to the floor. We're going to switch the feet. Stepping forward now on the other side. So my right foot forward, my right hand is going to go up. I'm going to really open up again, opening the palm, opening the shoulder, keeping everything high off of the floor, and underneath we go. That first needle thread, you can see again as I'm reaching underneath here, I'm increasing that stretch, trying to keep my right knee out away from my shoulder, keeping that distance, emphasize the stretch, and back up overhead. Second time again, can we get it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. That's it, open up, stretch the chest and the shoulders, and underneath. Second time. Reach across with those fingertips, just as far as you can. Get balanced and stable through the palm, through the foot. And third time, up we go. Drawing that hand back, pushing the floor away. Deep breath. And underneath. Good. Alright, nice work. Really feeling that stretch through the hip. Bring the hand back to the floor. Switch the feet. We're going to bring that rear knee down. I'm going to come up. We're going into a hip flexor stretch first. Core engaged from here, feel nice and balanced. If you need to adjust the foot position, by all means do so. And keeping the body tall, we're going to sit those hips forwards. Now keeping that core strong is going to stop us from simply arching the back and dropping the pelvis at the front. It's going to bring on that hip flexor stretch, front of the rear leg, front of the rear hip. Probably goes down into the quads a little bit. Again, particularly if you've done any lower body workouts. And you'll see I like to keep that rear foot up on the toe rather than having the foot flat. Always good to make sure you've got a comfortable mat underneath the knee for this one. Going to sit the hips back and come up onto the heel and bring the hands down. This is where I can feel those hamstrings and calves. Not drawing that toe up too much at this point. We'll get into that in a moment. But again, thinking about the tailbone back and up to lengthen through that hamstring stretch. So from here, I'm going to gently now draw the toes up. Just going to stretch the calves and increase that hamstring stretch. And I can feel that's tighter today. I'm not going to need much of this, but if you want to go ahead and place the palm on the sole of the foot and gently encourage a bit more stretch, then you can. And you're going to trace that line all the way up toward the sit bone where the hamstring attaches. Breathe. Nice and slow. Going to release that foot, go back into our hip flexor stretch, core engaged, body tall, and really make sure that lower back isn't just unwittingly arching and giving you more range without getting the true stretch. I'm going to increase it a little bit by bringing those arms up, and you can feel again that slight adjustment, making that stretch more intense in that hip flexor, right into the front of the groin, the hip, only as far as it's comfortable. Breathe, and then sit the hips back, pivoting on that heel, fingertips down to the floor, so we've got that stability, that balance. Drawing the length through that hamstring by tilting the tailbone. Good, take your time with these now. Gently drawing that toe up first, and then, if you need it, if you're able to add the palm to draw the toes back. Again, whenever I get into a really tight, deep stretch, I'm gently adding these testing, pulsing movements at the end. 6.5 to 7.5 out of 10. Don't really need to go anything more than that. Let the body acclimate to it. Okay, good. And the third time, navel in, hips forward, body nice and tall. Already felt that second stretch a lot easier, a lot more comfortable through the hamstrings. Adding that third, really common area to get tight, the hamstrings, particularly high up to the hip. You've been spending a lot of time sitting down at the desk, driving, and again, workouts, and can add to a lot of problems, lower back, knee, hip. So really key to make sure the hamstrings are nice and supple and mobile. Hips back, hinge, hands down, and breathe. Gently drawing the toes up, do the work with the muscles on the front of the shin first, and then apply the hand. So the tibialis anterior muscle draws the toes up. Use that to find if the stretch is needed. You'll know if it's not. But if you can, add this one in. A lot of tightness in the back of the knee, calves, hamstrings. Often the culprits, so go to with these stretches. A really good combination. And slowly release. Switching, so high kneeling on the other side. Again, core first. Drawing in and dropping in. Toes are up once again, feeling that hip flexor stretch. And often going from the third stretch on the first side to the first stretch on the second, you can feel the tightness. Alright, sitting the hips back, first hamstring stretch this side. Balance first, fingertips down. And again, we are tilting that tailbone back and up. So the hamstrings, definitely for me today, feeling more tension through them than necessarily in the hip flexor. Gently pulling the toes up, just a little bit, and then the palm. Don't need too much encouragement from the hand on this first one. Don't forget the breathing, really important to add that breathing element in. So you're not just going through the motions, but breathing to ease that tension through the body. Up, and again, the second time, navel drawn in, and anytime you need to readjust that foot position for a deeper stretch you can. Same again as we did on our second hip stretch on the other side, reaching up with those arms. Keeping that core engaged and reaching up as a stretch through the chest, the shoulders, and of course that increased stretch through the hip on the rear side. And same as hips back. Just as low as you can. Again, second time, feeling a little bit better, a little bit easier. It's coming a little bit freer earlier on. Palm to the sole of the foot, gently drawing the toes back. And just feel your way into it. Is it more the calf? Is it more the hamstring? Is it near the knee? Is it near the hip? Can you keep that proud posture? Can you relax the breathing? Or is it tense? Okay, third time. Core engaged, sinking forward into that hip stretch. That's it. And breathing as we go. Alright, back with the hips, down to the floor with the hands. And final time on this hamstring. Hand to the sole of the foot. And gently bouncing, gently pulsing to tease that restrictive barrier, the end range of the stretch. Don't try and force past it, just find where it is and go to it, but not beyond it. Okay, good. I'm going to bring the knees apart and the feet apart, going into the inner thigh from this kneeling position. Weight back towards those heels. And again, this one can be very tight, so be careful with this one as you go. Not crossing the feet, but rather keeping those feet apart as well as the knees. Again, 6.5 to 7.5 out of 10. And breathe. Definitely a good one to incorporate that pulsing movement, just testing the end range. Forward, weight onto the elbows. Take the stretch off of the hips. Adjust if needed, a little bit wider perhaps, and then back we go. Just as far as you can. Forward and knees together. And turn away from you for this one. So sitting nice and tall, high kneeling position. I'm going to bring my arms up and reach high, just as high as I can. And from there, bringing the elbows down, wide, and then pulling them back. Pulling the shoulder blades towards one another. And that's going to really open up through the chest. Try and get those elbows and wrists in line, reaching up. Now you can go across if that's comfortable on the shoulder, or straight up and down and back. Back behind you to really get that dexterity movement through the shoulder blades. Pinch them together. Couple more. And turn sideways so you can see I'm not arching the back. I'm going to try and remain as tall and as straight as I can. Core is engaged. Reaching those arms up. And as I come down, as far back as I can go. Keeping the elbows and the wrists vertically in line if I can. Really pulling the shoulder blades down. Good. All right, from a front facing position, hands up. I'm going to go into a final side bending movement here. And up and over, slowly to the other side. And because we're kneeling here, it really focuses the stretch into the torso, into the rib cage, and that space between the lower ribs and the pelvis, the low back, and the side of the body, up and over. Looking to feel just as much dexterity through the rib cage as we can. Let's go one more. And up. And good. Okay. Let's come up to standing to finish. We'll go through a few shoulder rolls to finish. Low to high, front to back. And as you can see, I'm not just working the shoulders with this one, but flexing and extending the spine, really getting as much movement through the shoulder girdle, the collarbone, the scapula, the shoulder blade. And all those muscles, they get very tight when we do things like press-ups and planks and so on. All right, nice work, guys. What did I tell you? Feeling nice and supple, so much freer and lighter and looser in the body. I hope you feel great after doing that mobility routine with me. I will see you again for another fantastic workout very soon.